Hey there, my name's Ed, and in this video we are going to be taking a very first look at Luna, the brand new digital audio workstation from Universal Audio. I'm super excited about this because I've been using Universal Audio plugins for the last 9 months now, and I love them. I love how they sound. I love how the DSP works off-site on my Apollo Twin and my satellite. I've been using Logic for the last 15 years, so I'm interested to see how easy it will be to transition. I've seen a few of the preview videos on Instagram that UAD have released, and I'm intrigued by some of the plugins, some of the processes, and some of the workflow ideas they've got. There's not too much known about this other than what they've put on Instagram. So let's dive into the computer right now and have a look. All right, so we load up Luna, and this is the screen we get so far. And the first thing you'll notice are these Luna tutorial videos. I can't recommend watching these enough. I watched all of these last night, and there's so much information in them, in how the DAW works, how it integrates with your external hardware, plugins, all the new features like the Neve summing stuff, which looks really great. They're full of all the key commands as well, which will help your workflow become really quick. So over here in this menu, we have several options. We'll come back to the Create page. Let's look at Discover. Luna comes with this Shape plugin, which is an instrument sample library. It's reasonably limited. There's no way near as many instrument options as you would find in Logic, for example. However, there are plenty of options that we can see on the screen here to upgrade and buy additional bundles. And based on the samples I've heard so far, some of them sound great, so I'm intrigued to see where these will be going. So we also have a UAD plugin icon here, and that will take you to the shop front where you can buy all the plugins, special offers, and new releases. Now these caught my eye. I wanted to know what the Neve summing was. Now this isn't a plugin, but it's a mix extension for your bus outputs that emulates the sound of Neve summing consoles. Now it is listed at £229, but there is a 14-day trial if you want to get involved with that. Below we have the Luna Creator Bundle, one of UAD's many bundles. They're very good at putting bundles together. This comes with the Neve analog summing and several extra instrument sample libraries as well. So in essence, what this page is a sales page. In typical UAD fashion, they are very good at selling you more stuff. Let's go to Manage. All right, so we have ARP here. That is an arpeggiator that comes with the software. Neve summing, you can see I've got my demo started there. And we have the Oxide tape recorder here. What this is, on our channel strips, I'll show you in a little bit, there's an option to insert a tape, which basically gives you a tape emulation sound. Now you get Oxide tape recorder with the software, and there's another one including Studer A800 that you can upgrade to as well. Again, I've got the demo installed here. And Shape, this is our sample instrument library. And the expansion, now I haven't downloaded that. Let's see what that does. I'm assuming it just adds more instruments. All right, that's going to take a while. Let's come back to that. Settings. This replaces console, or it does exactly what console used to do, but within the software. So you can link up your hardware units, set inputs and outputs, sample rates, and so on. And you can also add in hardware options here. It's automatically come up with my Apollo Twin. We like that. All right, so into a project here, and by the looks of it, it all looks very clean, nice and detailed. Aesthetically, I like the look of it. It's not a million miles away from Logic in that it's very grey, but it has some nice colour options as well. Now, the first thing to talk about is the view feature. This is really cool. So here we're set to timeline, and if we go here, we get to our mixer page. So that's quite easy to access. Now, this next bar here gives us tracks, navigation, info, and monitors. As you can see on the right hand here, we've got our monitor settings there. This is where we can access cue points, headphone mixers, and I think you can get onto plugging in inserts as well on your headphone mix. So it's like having console in the DAW, which is useful. Info, this next icon here. Down at the bottom, we have our rendering here. So it's displaying, like Final Cut does, if anyone does video, in the background, the project is always working on rendering video. This is doing the same with audio. And it's showing you what needs doing and what it is doing, how much memory's been used, and also the DSP. So again, it's similar to the UAD meter and control panel there, which is quite useful. Now, navigation, this is a cool little feature. So what this has got our console, so we can plug in the Neve summing plug in there. A little bit slow, and then we can play with that at a later point. Now, to get rid of these, we can press this yellow button here. That'll scroll that menu up. And to bring that back, click it back on. Let's scroll down. There's no tape feature on the master out, but we have our inserts here, so we can plug in any of the UAD plugins that you already own. Now, my main gripe with UAD is that it lists all of their plugins. Now, I don't own all of their plugins, and I only really want to see the plugins that I own. So what would be great, UAD, if you're listening, would be if there could be a menu option to display all of the plugins and just the ones you own that are licensed to this system. I can't remember every single plugin I've bought, and it's a nightmare scrolling through them. It's just time consuming, and I believe this entire Luna system is about saving time, so maybe that's a feature they could address. And then sends, main out, monitors, etc. That expands more as and when we add buses, which we'll do later. And at the bottom here, we've got our headphone options and our cue mixes and monitor mix options here. All right, so going back to our timeline page here and using this last icon, tracks, this is where we can select and add tracks. Let's go ahead and add an audio track. It's as simple as that. Let's name it vocals. And this is where we can duplicate tracks easily, pressing this button and delete tracks. Notice here, you can't delete a track by clicking on the channel strip and pressing delete. That doesn't work. You have to go up to this icon here. We can change the color of the channel strip there. So without scrolling through menu options, these little tweaks are dead easy to make, which I like. The other way of setting up a track is to go up to track and press new tracks, or we can use the command key there, shift command and new, making it nice and simple. We can select what type it is, audio or instrument. Let's set up an instrument track this time. Let's go piano, because I want to find a piano sound. Instrument shape. So when adding an instrument track, it automatically loads the shape instrument sample plugin library, which is great. But what I like about this as well is it automatically finds any other sample libraries I have, such as Grand Rhapsody, piano, and Addictive Keys in this case. So I've loaded Addictive Keys. Let's see if that works. Excellent. So it's automatically registered my MIDI keyboard and Addictive Keys sample works. No loading, no installing, nothing. That's nice and easy. Let's go back to shape, and the shape sample library comes up with lots of effects to play with here, and there's two ways of finding instruments. We can go down to press presets, and that will load all the different sample instruments here, and also we can click on this menu icon as well, and that just gives us another form of a list. Let's find some piano sounds. That's a piano. That sounds pretty good, actually. Touch sensitive, I like that. That's a good sounding sample, actually. All right, we'll come back to more sounds on this sampler in a bit because there's loads to play with. But from what I've heard so far, it sounds pretty good. Let's pull up the focus bar because I want to talk about some features in the sidebar. So we have our instrument access there, and if we want to change that again, same process, we can scroll down and find whatever instrument libraries we have there. Happy with the sample. Let's go down to tape. Right, so here we can insert or effectively run the channel through a tape machine. The Oxide one comes with it, and we can go through loads of presets. Let's try that one. Smash the saturation. Oh, yep. Okay, so there's plenty of options there, as we saw in the menu, for manipulating the sound, adding saturation. It seems quite an organic process, actually. I'm liking how they've laid this out. And then we have our inserts menu, and again, we can go through all the UAD plugins we don't have to find the ones that we do have. Sends, again, mains out or outputs, etc. There's more send options when we add a bus, which we will do shortly. And again, headphone mixers, cue points, etc., similar to on the main out function. All right, let's add a bus. Let's go to tracks plus bus. Let's call this Vox bus. We can change color if we want, but I like green. That's cool. Now we've got the bus selected. So we need to route link to the bus. This is where when we click on our piano strip and we go to sends, this is where the bus comes up, and now that'll send to the bus. That's nice and easy. That is quite a bit less fiddly than Logic, which I like. So the next thing to talk about here is this workflow feature here, and if we click on these icons, we get some transport bars coming up. And here we have the record one where we can select what to send to what mixers, pre-roll for recording, and post-roll, which is used when we set up a recording loop function, which is super useful. We have some MIDI options here, including velocity and octave, up and down. That's quite a nice feature. Logic was a bit of a fiddle with the menus to try and get that to work. And we have our edit toolbar here as well, which will be useful for editing. As you can see, it's got pretty much all the commands we would need. I'm sure there's key commands for those, but I haven't found those yet. I'll probably get into that in another video. And finally, we have the mix selection. Now, this is where we have a mix down button for super quick bounces. We can also access this menu from the left-hand side here by clicking on the icon in the corner. So one of my first questions for this software was, can I use third-party plugins? And the answer is yes. Let's go to Vocals, Inserts. Now we have to scroll all the way down past all the UAD plugins, and then we can get to others such as Melodyne and Waves. Excellent. Let's add in an SSL channel strip. And the SSL channel strip comes up. Now that that looks like they've purposefully downgraded the aesthetic of that interface compared to the very clean, smooth-looking UAD ones. That, to me, seems to look better in Logic, but never mind. That's not an issue. So, excellent. We can access all of our other plugins. I was slightly worried that they would only allow you to implement UAD plugins, but no, that's a good feature. My next question was, can you use third-party sound cards? And as far as I've found, the answer is no. So I've got a Focusrite Scarlett here, and unfortunately I can't set that up, which is a bit annoying because I was using my Apollo Twin and the Scarlett as an aggregate device, so I have 4 inputs. So I can only use 2, so they are limiting this entire global network to Universal Audio products, which is obviously why they've done it. It makes sense. However, if you're like me and you can't afford all the UAD hardware, I am at the moment only stuck to 2 channels on my Apollo Twin. I guess this isn't a massive problem because I can record elsewhere in another DAW and then import all the audio into Luna and then take full advantage of the Universal Audio world here with all the plugins and integration, which so far seems great and it looks great, it sounds great. I think they're onto something really good here. And finally, let's quickly have a look to see how some of these sample libraries sound. So we go back up to Shape here. And let's go. Now, I saw in the Discover page that they had some expensive looking string plugin packages. Let's have a look at some strings. Sounds pretty good. They sound quite nice. They sound, I do feel like I'm in the room with that cello actually. That's nice. Drums, all right, the key to my heart. Let's do that. What's an OWD kit? No idea. Oh, that's a good sounding kick. So that's an initial review of some of the features and things that I've found in this, having been looking at this for a few hours now. I like the way it looks, I like the integration, I'm excited to get using it with all the UAD plugins and the Neve summing stuff and the oxide tape things. I think they're really nice features. I'm sure once I've learnt the key commands, I can get quite quick on it. It's going to take some transition from Logic that I've been using for 15 years. I'm super quick on that, I know all the key commands. So there's going to be a transition period, that's fine, like moving to any other DAW, I guess. I love how the sample libraries sound. They're quite limited, unfortunately, compared to Logic, which comes with hundreds and thousands of different samples. But I guess that's part of the UAD business model, provide very high quality samples and plugins. You just have to pay if you want more of them. That's fine, but from what I've heard, it sounds great. I'll probably do another video on Luna when I've spent some more time with it and tried recording with it. And I'll keep you up to date on my findings. But initial findings, well done UAD. Please just sort out the insert menu. Can you provide an option to just view what plugins you have and then to view all the plugins? That's my main gripe. Other than that, I think it's great, and I will see you guys on the next one.